I'm Dr. John, and this is the channel where health and education meet. Do you train hard, put in the effort, but feel like your results are stagnant? Have you ever thought about adopting the same strategy that athletes use to evolve faster, gain real strength, and transform their bodies? If you're tired of doing generic workouts and want to learn how to train with intelligence and purpose, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to show you how to apply the programming methods used by professional athletes, adapted for amateurs with a regular routine. You'll learn how to structure your workouts to build strength, endurance, and most importantly, consistency, without needing to live in the gym or have a privileged genetic makeup. If you've ever wondered why you've been training for months or years without significant changes, or if you want to understand how to maximize your results without falling into a routine or overtraining, stay with me until the end. This knowledge could be the game changer you've been looking for to transform your physique and mindset. Many people start going to the gym or training at home with no idea what they're doing, and then wonder why the results don't show up. Sounds exaggerated, right? But it's more common than you think. Training without purpose is like getting in a car and driving without knowing where you're going. Eventually, the fuel runs out, and you realize you've just been going in circles. Having a clear goal is what separates those who make progress from those who only accumulate days of training without changing anything. Now, to better understand, imagine two people. One goes to the gym to do anything, while the other enters knowing they're going to work on leg strength with a focus on heavy squats. Who do you think will reap more benefits? Exactly. Without specific goals, the body doesn't know what to adapt to. A practical example: instead of doing arms today, set a goal. I want to increase my bench press strength by 10% over the next 2 months. Clarity is power, especially when it comes to physical evolution, and here's an even more interesting point. When you know what you want, it becomes much easier to create workouts that really work, and this is where the difference between athletes and amateurs starts to stand out. While some follow plans aimlessly, others follow a strategic, intelligent game plan. But hold on, we'll get to that in a minute. The big difference between an athlete and an amateur isn't just the physique, it's the mindset. An athlete approaches each workout as part of a larger mission, while the amateur often sees the workout as just another task to check off the list. This shift in approach changes everything. The athlete wakes up already knowing what they need to do to evolve. The amateur, on the other hand, often just shows up at the gym trying to see what happens. It's like comparing a chef to someone who only fries eggs when hunger strikes. Both use the kitchen, but only one creates something extraordinary. If you want to level up, you need to start thinking like an athlete. Each exercise has a reason, each repetition has a purpose, and every week has a defined goal. Want a practical example? Instead of training chest just because, think, I need to strengthen my chest to improve my bench press performance and protect my shoulders during other movements. And there's more. Athletes don't train just to tire out the body, they train to shape it according to a well-thought-out plan. Discipline is the secret, and it doesn't come from nowhere. It's built, workout after workout. In a bit, I'll show you exactly how they structure these powerful workouts and how you can do the same, even if you still feel like a beginner today. If there's one thing athletes take seriously, it's the concept of progression. There's no such thing as training the same way all the time and expecting results to magically appear. Every high-level workout is based on solid principles, such as progressive overload, controlled variation, and absolute respect for recovery time. Nothing is done by chance. For example, a soccer player doesn't train strength the same way all year, they adapt based on the season phase. Another fundamental principle is specificity. What does that mean? Simple, you train what you want to improve. If the goal is power, the workout will involve quick, explosive exercises, like jumps and throws. If it's endurance, then it's interval training and long sets. Now think, how many times have you seen someone training wrong, doing 300 crunches trying to run faster? Exactly, it's a lack of understanding the right principle for each goal, and of course, recovery is treated as a strategic part of the training, not a luxury. An athlete knows that resting is not wasting time, but investing in the body's real growth. Without rest, there's no evolution, simple as that. And look, this isn't just for professional athletes. You can apply these principles starting today. Want to see how to create your own program, just like the pros do? Then get ready, because now it's going to get even more practical. Creating your own training program may sound like rocket science, but in reality, it's simpler than most people think. First, you need to define your main goal. Do you want to gain strength? Improve endurance? Build more muscle mass? Once you've done that, it's like putting together a puzzle. You'll fit the right workouts in the right amounts to get there. A basic example? If the focus is strength, prioritize compound exercises like squats, deadlifts, and heavy bench press. Once you've defined your goal, it's time to distribute the workouts throughout the week. Don't think that more training means better results, okay? A good program needs to balance volume, amount of training, intensity, how much load you use, and frequency, how often you train the same muscle group. A classic and efficient split is the famous push, pull, legs, meaning push, pull, and legs on separate days. Oh, and note this down, it's better to train 4 times a week in a planned way than 7 times randomly. Finally, adjust the program based on your body's response. If progress stalls, increase the load, change the exercises, or add extra sets. There's no perfect program forever, the secret is to evolve with your results. And speaking of results, want to see a practical example of a model workout, one that looks simple but is powerful? Then let's move on to the next section, and I'll show you a real example that you can adapt to your routine. To make the theory even more tangible, let's build a workout session like athletes do, but adapted for those with a regular routine and no extra hours in a day. First, we start with an intelligent warm-up, 5 minutes of joint mobility and a light circuit of squats, push-ups, and abs. No jumping straight into heavy lifting at the gym, okay? Cold muscles are an invitation for injury, and no one wants that on their record. Next, we move into the main part, heavy compound exercises to generate real stimulus. A strength workout example could be free squats, 4 sets of 5 heavy reps, bench press, 4x5, bent over row, 4x6, and we finish with an accessory exercise, like lunges with dumbbells or lateral raises, just to fine-tune. If the focus were endurance, we'd change the format, more repetitions, less weight, and shorter rest intervals to challenge the breath. To wrap up, never forget the cool down, dynamic stretching, conscious breathing, and, if you have a myofascial release roller nearby, even better. With this structure, each workout becomes a powerful gear in your personal evolution project. And of course, none of this matters if recovery is neglected, right? That's exactly what we're going to talk about now, because recovery is where the real magic happens. Not many people realize it, but muscle growth, strength gain, and endurance improvement don't happen during the workout, they happen during rest. Training is just the trigger, it's during sleep and active recovery that the body rebuilds muscle fibers and strengthens the nervous system. In other words, neglecting rest is like planting a seed and then forgetting to water it. Want to see your effort go down the drain? Just sleep poorly and ignore your body's signals. One golden rule for athletes is to treat sleep as training too. At least 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night, no negotiations. And it's not just quantity, okay? It's quality, a dark, cool, and undisturbed environment. A practical example: how about investing in a sleep mask, blackout curtains in your room, and disconnecting from electronics at least 1 hour before bed? Simple things that make a huge difference in your performance and health. In addition to sleep, active recovery is also essential. This includes light walks, yoga, stretching, or quick myofascial release sessions on rest days. It's that famous story, rest without being sedentary. And if you think this is a waste of time, just wait to see how your performance in workouts will explode once you apply these recovery habits. By the way, speaking of a growth mindset, it's time to understand what goes through the mind of those who truly take their training seriously. Training the body without training the mind is like trying to run with the handbrake on. The real transformation happens first in the mind. True athletes don't go into the field or the gym to see what happens. They have clear goals, visualize success, and, most importantly, persist even on the days when motivation is low. An amateur gives up when they're tired. An athlete doesn't. They know that every tough workout is another step toward victory. Having an athlete's mindset means understanding that progress is not linear. There will be bad days, there will be terrible workouts, and there will be weeks when it feels like nothing is moving. And guess what? That's okay. The difference is that the athlete interprets those moments as part of the process, not as a sign to quit. A powerful exercise you can do every Sunday: write down your goals for the week, visualize how you'll feel achieving each of them, and keep that paper always in sight. Another secret: athletes train to be better, not to impress others. Their competition is with their previous version. Want to think like them? Start measuring your workouts by your own achievements. Lifted more weight than last month? Ran 1 kilometer faster? Congratulations, you're already on the right path. And speaking of achievements, many people stumble because they make mistakes that could easily be avoided. Let's talk about those now, so you don't fall into common traps. Training like an athlete requires discipline but also wisdom. And it's easy to make mistakes that can sabotage your progress. The first big mistake? Wanting to force everything at once. When you commit to intense training, the temptation to go beyond your limit can be great, but this leads to overtraining and injuries. Instead of trying to break records every day, respect your body's signals. Elite athletes know when to pull the brake and when to take the necessary recovery time. Another common mistake is the lack of variety. Repeating the same workout week after week will quickly lead you to a plateau. Diversify your exercises, change repetitions, and rest times. Don't forget to work different muscle groups and change the focus depending on your goals. A classic example: doing squats every workout will make you stronger, but it may lack muscle balance and lead to overloading. Change it up, experiment, and see what your body responds to best. And lastly, the fatal mistake of those without focus: training without clear, measurable goals. "I want to improve my body" is too vague. The athlete's rule is to be specific. For example, "I want to increase my deadlift strength by 20% in 3 months." This gives you a clear target, something tangible to work towards. And if you don't measure it, you'll never know if you're on the right track. Now that you know what not to do, how about taking the first step toward becoming your best version? Let's talk about that now. Now that you have all the knowledge and tools, the next step is to take action. It's no good knowing everything about training, recovery, and mindset if you don't take action. What will separate you from those who stay in the comfort zone is the discipline to apply what you've learned. Start today, even if it's just 10 minutes of training, adjusting your diet, or going to bed earlier. The secret is not in the size of the action, but in its consistency. Remember, every little effort counts. Don't wait for a perfect day to start. That perfect day never comes, and while you wait, others are already reaping the rewards of action. So decide to be different. Decide to be the strongest, healthiest, and most disciplined version of yourself. Want to start seeing the results of an athlete's program in your own life? All you need to do is take the first step. And the good news is, you're already on the right path. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep following along because we're just getting started. Together, we'll achieve the results you've always dreamed of. The first step was taken here. Now, it's time to take the next. Are you ready?